Hello, hello, beautiful ones. How are we doing? Bear with me while I find the video and put it in the top. There I am. There we go. Hopefully you can find me. Hopefully you can see me. Welcome for those of you that are joining live, and for those of you watching on replay. I hope you have had a beautiful weekend. I know we're now Tuesday, but Monday kind of, that's weekend too, right? Maybe just for me. So I hope you are enjoying this journey. We are officially on day 4 of becoming spiritually supported. Say hello as you hop on and join me. And then we are going to dive in. Today, well, this week, we are really looking at some kind of foundational practices that are going to set you up for this journey and ongoing. So we've already looked at creating our own rituals. We've looked at centering. We have looked at creating sacred space, and I do want to touch a bit more on that with you today. And then we're also going to be looking at today the map, well, the shamanic map of the spiritual realms. And what I will say is this is a framework, and it is a helpful framework, but you also get to make it your own. You don't have to get stuck in this. So we will go into that in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on creating sacred space. So yesterday we had a lesson which was just kind of a really quite simple post around how you might want to create a sacred space for yourself. What I will say, and I did say in the lesson, is this isn't a requirement, right? We want to get to the point where we can work with spirit, we can do our spiritual practices anywhere, anytime we get to draw on them. But especially in the beginning, there is something really useful about having that mental connection of this place in my house, even if it's just a corner of the room, I associate with my spiritual practice, because it will mean that we're able to drop into that state of consciousness a lot quicker, a lot easier. It just becomes natural. For me, it's literally, I have my meditation cushion, which I put near my fireplace in my lounge. That is like my meditation spot. In my old house, I had a whole room which was like my Reiki room, which was devoted to my spiritual practice. But the truth is, you don't need that, right? So I want to make that super clear before you start to see this like some kind of barrier. We want to get to the point where, like I say, you can drop in anywhere, any place. Now, the other thing is, if we've got a space, then it's easy to do our cleansing work and our clearing work, and we'll go into that more deeply later this week. But for now, I just wanted to just kind of bring your awareness to that our spiritual tools, our spiritual practices, our spiritual rooms are things like our sage, our crystals, our cards, our pendulums, whatever tools you're using in your spiritual practice. They're just that. They're just tools. They're not essential. You don't need them. That doesn't mean we don't like to work with them, but they're not a requirement. Everything you need for your spiritual practice is inside of you. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that before we start today. So the other thing that we're talking about today is the Shamanic Map. And this is a map of the spiritual realms. And this map is found in many different shamanic lineages. So whether we're talking like Native American, whether we're talking, like when I say Native American, there were many tribes, right? Many different tribes who had slightly different shamanic practices across the Americas. So even saying Native American practices seems a little bit ridiculous because there were so many different types, but yeah, they had similar belief systems and similar practices, but they weren't all exactly the same. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that. But this shamanic map that we'll be using, you've probably come across it before if you've done any kind of shamanic work. And it's this idea that there is at least 3 different realms that we can access. And those realms have different entities. I'm not even sure that's a good word because that sounds like a little bit, I don't know about you, but the word entity to me sounds a little bit creepy. May just be me. But has different things, people we will come across, and we use the different realms for different things. Like say, this is a framework though. So if as we progress through this course and we're doing journeying and you find yourself somewhere that doesn't necessarily correspond with the map, I want you to know that's okay. That's not you doing anything wrong. This is a framework. And it's up to your belief system, whether you see this as like real kind of physical places, or whether you see this as more different elements of our mind, different elements of our psyche, different elements of our subconscious. Whatever works for you, works for you. And I want you to know that whatever that is okay. From my point of view, it doesn't matter why something works. It's the fact that it does. So if we get too hung up on the details around that, then actually we can lose some of the magic that those things have to offer. So say, for example, you're getting a lot of clear wisdom coming from particular realms, but you're getting in your head around, is this real? Is this not real? Is that a real entity? Am I making this up? That is going to stand in your way of receiving the wisdom you need to receive. And the truth is, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. We'll never truly know. We can travel these realms, we can journey all we like, we can do all of the practices, but we'll never actually know until perhaps we pass over. And even then we may not know. So it's about what you receive from it. So if you start to think, am I making this up? Is this just my imagination? Just know that that's not an important question to ask. The important question to ask is, did I receive what I needed to receive? Did I get the guidance I was seeking? Does that help me take a step forward in whatever it is you're trying to do, or what it is you want to manifest in your life? So we can use our spiritual practice for lots of different things, right? Healing, manifestation. We can use it to understand where we're standing in our own way, to understand where we've got growth that needs to take place, to look at things from a different perspective, so many different things. But for now, today I wanted to, explain the different realms to you. And I have also put some notes on the platform, which will go live once I've uploaded this video, which you can refer back to and have a look at. But then I wanted to take you through a little practice so we can go explore them together and see what these realms feel like for you. What comes up for you as you're in these different realms? What's the difference in how it feels for you internally in these different places? And if as we're traveling you think, I can't feel anything different, I don't notice anything different. No, that's absolutely okay. And the more you do these practices, the more you become attuned to the subtle. So the more you start to notice a different somatic response in your body, the more you'll start to get, you know, perhaps different colors or different images of the different realms, the more you're likely to encounter things in the different realms that can help you and can support you in what it is you're trying to achieve. So let's start with the lower world. So the lower world we often access through in a journey like a base of a tree or a cave that goes down. So basically the lower world is seen as this underneath our current plane of existence. So it's in the ground. Saying that, there's a whole world there. And this world is often seen as a very lush place. It's very nature-based. It often has things such as forests and jungles and rivers and mountains, and you know, we're immersed in nature in this realm. And so in this realm we're likely to encounter things like our spirit guides that are animals. We might find other spirit guides that are more nature-based, so things like different nature guardians, things like fire guardians or elemental guardians or water guardians, you know, all of the elements. We've worked with the fire guardian before, so tend to be in this lower realm, in this lower world. We also can find this is a beautiful place for healing. If we want to heal a bit, like, you know, if you want to heal in this 3D existence, then we know going for a walk in the woods or going by the sea, it's healing, right? It's healing for your soul, it's healing for your body. You know, the ions from water actually reduce, well, the salt water actually reduce stress in our nervous system. When I go for a walk in the woods, I'm instantly feeling grounded. It's like it pulls me back down out of my head into my body. So this lower world is beautiful for healing, and this is a really great place to explore if there's things that you can feel that are holding you back. If you feel like there's a particular physical ailment that you want to work with, if you feel like there's, you know, often if there's something we're trying to manifest, we can feel that we're getting in our own way. This can be a beautiful place to work with that. Next, we have the middle world. So the middle world is seen as the spiritual realm of where we're living now. So this is where the things reside that we may not be able to see in our everyday life. So depending on your belief system and the practice or lineage that you're working with, this could be things like, you know, I'm just thinking about my Irish roots here. This could be like the Fae that we talk to. This could be different kind of, those more kind of things like, I don't want to say fairy tale, but those kind of spirits that we would see in like fairy tales that come from those different lineages. So this is also a great place where we can work with energy. It's also a great place where we can resolve problems and issues that are taking place on the physical realm. This is also where we would like astral travel, where we would go to, you know, other places. For those of you that do Reiki and distance Reiki, this is where that Reiki would travel across. So this middle realm is basically the energetic and spiritual existence or plane of our current reality, of our current world, of our physical world. It's a great place, like I say, that we can work with if we're doing things like physically trying to sort out problems, if we want to commune with particular, again, depends on your belief system, but particular energies that might be stuck in this realm. You know, I've told many of you about the gentleman that used to live in our house who just needed a bit of Reiki to move on. And yeah, I'm trying to think how long ago that was now, but he doesn't seem to be around anymore. And he seemed like a lovely chap anyway, but you know, he didn't need to be here. So in that middle realm, we can work with those sort of things, like our ancestors that are still stuck around, but also ancestors that have passed on often are in the lower world. So we can talk to our ancestors, and especially ancestors that are here to help us on our own journey. So perhaps you have in your spirit team, or you will find in your spirit team, people that have passed over, that were part of your family or part of your lineage, that are in the background supporting you to learn the lessons that you need to in this lifetime. And then we go up to the, it's got many different names actually, but like the upper world. This is more ethereal in nature. This is often where we would work with things like angels or ascended masters. If so, any kind of like divinity, any kind of deities. So if, for example, you have that real connection to even a particular spiritual figure, that communication often would take place in the upper realm, the upper world. So say, for example, you're Christian, then this can be a place that you can commune with Jesus or Mother Mary, or, you know, any of the angels, if you believe in the angels, that you can work with up there. The Hindu gods and goddesses, the pagan gods and goddesses, the Norse gods and goddesses. There's a huge variety, right? Or like say, anything that's more ascended in nature. So from a Buddhist point of view, there's a similar idea about having like angels that are supporting you. They're not called angels, but there's this idea of like an angelic realm. So this is where that communication would take place. Another thing I just wanted to talk into is sometimes the idea of traveling to these different places, interacting with these different beings, spirits, especially depending on how you view that. So, you know, if you view that as parts of your own psyche, that might seem quite a safe thing to do. And I do believe this work is safe. I believe it all comes down to our intention. And I've had questions before about, you know, is there anything I need to do to stay safe? Because depending on your belief system, you might believe in entities that are there to harm, or there to corrupt, or, you know, we can have this idea of things being unsafe. What I would say is it comes down to one thing, which is intention. As I've mentioned before, everything comes down to intention and attention. So if we go and travel to these places with the intention of doing something good for the good of all, for the good, and that includes yourself, right? Okay. There's nothing, you don't need to feel guilty about wanting to travel to manifest something. You don't want to feel guilty about bringing in more abundance. Everything's available to everyone. If you want something, that doesn't make you a bad person. You're allowed to want things. And I say that because often as women, we can have an uncomfortable relationship with that. But you're allowed to want things. You're allowed to manifest things. There's nothing greedy or bad about that, because everything is available to you in this lifetime if you give yourself permission to have it. Side note. But in terms of staying safe, yes, we can look at things like creating bubbles around us, and a lot of that kind of building a barrier between us and the next person. My experience is, and my experience of working with many people that do that type of work, is if you go into these practices from a place of fear, from a place of I need to protect myself, from a place of forgetting that we're all one, right? We're all one, we're all energy. So actually there isn't something that can harm you because we're all one. So if you go into it with a state of fear, then you're likely to have a more fear-based experience. It's a bit like, if any of you have ever used plant medicine or any kind of anything that's mind altering or psychoactive, you are likely to find that your intention is everything. So if you go into that experience in a state of fear, you're likely to generate a fear-inducing experience. Therefore, if you go into it with an intention of healing and light and fun and joy and abundance and support, that is what you will receive. So when it comes to staying safe, I believe that is far more important than any kind of energetic bubble you can put around yourself, any kind of healing light you can put around yourself. We will talk about some of those things later in the course if that is something of interest for you. But for now, know that the most powerful thing at your disposal in the whole of your spiritual practice is your intention. It is like the most powerful thing you can use. So on that note, I invite you to get comfy, get cozy, get a little nest ready, do what you need to do. I'm just going to have a sip of my cuppa. And we're just going to have a little explore of these realms, okay? There's many different ways that we can go into this. I'm going to show you like a really simple practice here. But, you know, there's many ways we can travel. Often it comes down to just putting ourselves into the right state. And some days that's harder than others, right? If you've had a really busy day, if your mind is super busy, if you're feeling unwell. Actually, to be honest, when I feel unwell, I tend to be able to access spiritual states a lot quicker because my ego is quieter. So, yeah, often when I'm unwell or tired is a really good time to be practicing, which, ironic, right? Those are often excuses we would use not to do it. But from my experience, great times to practice. Often you hear about people as well, like having spiritual experiences when they've got when they've been really unwell or in hospital, and I think there's something in that it's because our everyday mind is quieter, our ego is quieter, so we're more able to access those states. I can't remember where I was going with that. How did I get onto that point? Accessing these states. So we can go into a full trance-based state, which would make traveling easier. There's a number of different ways we can do that. We can do that through listening to drums. That's often a very kind of, that's something we see in a lot of the shamanic traditions, is hearing a beat over and over and over again, which becomes somewhat hypnotic. And it's basically doing that job of closing down the ego, of taking us out of that natural cognitive state that keeps us in this everyday existence. We can use things like, and I'm not encouraging anything here, but I just want to give you the full information. You know, in some lineages, that is about using plant medicine. That is about using different things like ayahuasca, or in some lineages that might be a certain type of mushroom. In some lineages that could be a particular herb. I'm not going to go into a big range of plant medicine that we can use. We'll save that for another day. But that is one way that certain cultures would travel into these realms. We can also use just really simple practices like breathing techniques. Different breathing techniques put you into different brain states, into different, so we're operating at a different wave level. So that's a whole workshop in itself, and we can have a look at that at some point during the 28 days. But we can also just use our intention, because, like I say, our intention is super powerful. Our intention is the most powerful gift we have. And that goes for everything, right? Not just our spiritual practice, but in life. If you truly intend to do something, if you say, I am going to, I'm going to make £1,000 this month out of nowhere. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to find a way. If you are really cemented in that intention, you will do that thing. So it's the same thing with our spiritual practice. We can calm down the ego using just simple meditation. And then with the intention, many of you have been through like a guided journey with me. Just allow that to take you to those different realms. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Later on in this course, we will look at things like breathing. We will be looking at drumming. We will be looking at ways that we can work with our conscious brain to calm it down using things like mantra. That repetitiveness is super effective, and I invite you to have a play with some of these things. Maybe not plant medicine unless you feel truly called to, but I'm not encouraging anything. I have to be super careful here, right? But have a play with different ways that you can change your consciousness to see what works best for you, to see what resonates most for you, what's most powerful for you. But like I say, ultimately, we want to get into the state, or we want to get our practice to the state where we can just drop in, and we don't need the drums. We don't need the plants. We don't need the breathing techniques. We can just do it through our intention. Okay, hopefully that sounds good to you. Get yourself comfy, get yourself cozy. Take a moment to center yourself. Hopefully that makes sense after watching day 2's video. And we can do that by paying attention to this hara space, or this abdomen area, this lower abdomen below the belly button. Maybe taking in a couple of nice deep breaths. And today is a kind of portal. We're going to use our heart space. Our heart space is actually a portal that's been used in many different shamanic traditions. And you can place your hand there if that feels good to you, but I invite you to just breathe into this area. And the idea is, as we're breathing in, we're just letting go of any tension that we might be holding there. We're letting go of any blocks that are standing in the way of you having an open heart, any walls that you've built up. we're just going to take down, just for this practice, you're allowed to put those walls back up if they're keeping you safe, but for now, just knowing you're safe to surrender them. You're allowed to let them come down just for a moment. And I invite you to imagine that as you breathe into this heart space, on the out breath, that breath is projecting out a tunnel of light in front of you, and continuing to breathe and project out that tunnel of light. We're not going to step into it yet. We're going to take in one more nice deep breath. And breathing out that tunnel of light in front of you. And we're going to start walking through that tunnel of light. And at the end of that tunnel, there's a door. And I invite you to get closer to that door. Noticing what that door looks like. What's that door made from? What color is it? What handle does it have? And you may see this, you may just know this, you may have a feeling about this. And opening up that door now into a woods, and perhaps it's a wood that you know, or a forest that you know. And somewhere in this wood there is a very large tree. And I invite you to start walking through this wood now to find that very large tree and see whereabouts it is in the woods. And allowing that tree to come into your vision now, getting closer to that tree. And I invite you to notice that at the base of the tree is a hole. And we're going to use this hole to travel down to the lower world. And as you step into this hole, there's a staircase, a spiral staircase that is spiraling down deep into the earth. And I invite you to start stepping down now. Walking down that staircase, each step at a time, and you can move quite quickly. You don't have to take this slowly. You feel safe and secure walking down this staircase. Maybe even running a little bit down this staircase now, going deeper and deeper and deeper into the earth. Going down and down and down. And you start to hear the sound of trickling water as this staircase emerges into a cave, a little damp cave, and there's a little spring in the corner of the cave, creating a little stream that runs through. And the mouth of the cave will take you into the lower world. This is the place where we can connect with our spirit guides, our ancestors, our animal spirits that are here to support us, here to help us, here to offer us guidance on our journey. And we're holding that intention of only coming into contact with that which is here to support us, here to help for the good of all, as we start to get closer to the mouth of that cave and allow ourselves to step out into this beautiful natural landscape. You might find that you're in the middle of a lush jungle or a woods. You might see rivers or streams or mountains in the distance. You may notice other things, but I invite you to just take a moment to explore this landscape of the lower world for you. And notice if any spirit guides or animals or anyone else wants to make themselves known as you take a little wander around this area. And starting to make your way back to the mouth of the cave now, knowing that we've got other realms to explore today. Saying goodbye and thank you to anyone that you met here, any guidance you were given. And walking through the mouth of the cave, back to the staircase, and working your way back up those stairs, finding that your body can move easily and effortlessly here. You've got tons of energy. You can run up these stairs easily, effortlessly. Starting to see the light that's coming from the hole in the tree. Getting closer to that opening now. Coming back out into the forest and woods. And I invite you to notice that this is a forest or wood that you know. It's somewhere that you've visited or have visited regularly. And this is the middle world. This is the spiritual plane of our current world, our current existence. And again, holding that intention that anything you experience here or come into contact with here will be for the good of you and the good of all. And I invite you to notice if there's anywhere in this middle world that you feel called to travel to right now. Anywhere where you feel like you need to be or what you need to witness or see, someone or something you need to find. Allow your intuition to guide you to that place right now. Traveling quickly and effortlessly. Till you arrive in that place now, and I invite you to just notice what's here, who's around you. Are there any spirits that want to make themselves known to you? Anyone that has wisdom or support to offer for you right here in this moment? Or maybe you're just exploring. And if you have come into contact with someone or something, taking a moment to thank them for anything they had to offer in terms of wisdom or support. Before effortlessly coming back to the tree, you may just find you can appear there without having to travel in any usual sense, just appearing back at the tree with the hole at the base. But this time, instead of going down, we're going to use the tree to climb up. And you notice that as you look up at the tree, that you can't see where it actually ends. It is so tall, it goes up into the clouds. And you can see on the trees some branches that are easy for you to climb, knowing that here your body works effortlessly, easily, and you begin to climb up this tree, getting closer to the top. Noticing that the top of the tree actually goes beyond the clouds. And you're moving further and further up this tree now. Moving quickly, effortlessly, without even trying. You're moving quite fast up this tree. And getting closer to those clouds now. And as you start to work your way through the cloud, a whole new realm comes into your awareness. This is the upper world or the upper realm. And the colours here look slightly different, a little bit iridescent, like the shell of a mother of pearl. It has an angelic feel. Lots of light, lots of white. I invite you to start to explore this realm for you. Again, holding that intention that anyone or anything you come into contact with will be here to support you and help you for your highest good and the good of all. The realm of angels and ascended masters, deities all reside up here. See what you find as you explore. And as before, And saying thank you to anyone or anything that came to help you or offer you guidance while you were in this upper world, upper realm. Saying goodbye in whatever way feels good to you. And starting to make your way back to the top of the tree. And as before, easily climbing this tree, climbing back down, descending back into the middle world, back down the trunk of this tree, gliding easily down, effortlessly, before you reach the ground. And standing on this ground now, you notice the door that you came in through, the door to the tunnel, and it's quite close by. I invite you to step towards that door now, opening it up, traveling back through that tunnel of light, back into your body, back into this heart space, back into the now, back into this plane, this existence. And starting to notice the feeling of your feet or your body being in contact with the earth or your bed, couch, cushions, floor. Noticing that feeling of gravity that's pulling you back down into your body and allowing you to make contact with the floor, that which is anchoring you to here. Grounding you back down. And before opening your eyes, just taking a moment to acknowledge any wisdom or support that you received in this journey. And tap into the gratitude for that. You get to travel to discover these new things, these new places, these new beings. That you have access to wisdom anytime you need it. Always someone there to support you. Always someone there to offer advice and help you move past anything that's standing in the way of where you want to be. Maybe saying a little thank you, thank you, thank you. Before slowly opening your eyes, coming back into the room. I'm going to give you a minute to come to. And I'm going to see if any of you would like to share anything that came through for you, whether you're watching live or on replay. I would love to hear your experience, whether you came in contact with anyone, anything, what advice they offered, if anything at all, or perhaps it was more of a introducing themselves to you. And this is something you can come back to time and time again, whether that's listening to me guide you or just doing this with your own intention, doing this with your own imagination, allowing yourself to travel to these different worlds and come into contact with the support that you need. Okay. Wow, we've been going for nearly an hour.
Today, well, this week,
bear
we are
with.
really looking at
Oh, here we go. We have comments. Apologies, lovelies. I couldn't see these before. Claire, so people kept driving into you yesterday. You were parked at a space in the hospital. You were parked at a space at the hospital. Crashed from behind. You couldn't believe it. Oh, bless you, lovely. Car is literally just back from the garage. You get a bad feeling after this. Must be the 10th time it's happened. Often I'm not in the car, sat stationary. This is a great topic to work with your spirit guides with. So, you know, you may want to, I would probably use the lower world for this, travel down to the lower world, talk to your spirit guides, talk to any animal guides around why is this happening, what needs to be cleared, what are you attracting in, how can you let go of anything that's going on around this energetically, because it is odd, right? There's been a lot. Louise, you're so sorry you keep missing the lives. Lovely, it's okay. There's no obligation to turn up to the lives. That's absolutely fine, lovely. Replays are cool. If you like the replay, use the replay. This resource is for you. So whatever works for you. And you're going to watch the replay. Absolutely fine. So yeah, Claire, I would perhaps use these journeys to start working through that, because it sounds like there's something energetically that's happening around attracting that in. That would be, you know, my advice. Okay, lovelies. So for those of you that want to share as you go through this journey, whether you're watching on replay, yeah, pop it in the comments. I would love to see what comes up for you. In the rest of this 28-day experience, we're going to be using, like I say, different techniques. We're going to be using different ways that we can connect into our spirit guides. But before we go, I wanted to pull a card for you to consider. As before, I am not going to read out the meaning. But I invite you to use your intuition to understand what this card is trying to say for you. That one jumped. Your card for today, I understand it is backwards, is a stag, and it says, trust and thrive. Beautiful card. And it's got the Celtic symbolism, an ivy. That Celtic sign, the power of 3. 3 is a really important number in most spiritual traditions. That Celtic, there's different viewpoints on what that actually means. We could look at it as the phases of a woman's life. So, you know, that kind of youthfulness, like the maiden, the mother, the crone. It could be in relation to, you know, from a Christian perspective, this could be like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, or Holy Spirit. But 3 is generally a really powerful number in spiritual traditions. Don't know why I felt called to share that. Perhaps there's something in that for you. All right, lovelies. Actually, that is interesting, and I'll just share something. When I went to the lower world, one of my spirit guides is, I've talked about her a lot. She's a crone. She's a crone. I mean, that sounds so bad. Like, I love her. She's like real crone energy. Doesn't take anything from anyone. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I just said about the the maiden, the mother and the crone, because actually the crone came to me while I was in the lower world, guiding you through that journey, offered me a bit of advice for something that I didn't realize I was struggling with. So I hope this has been useful for you. I hope you took something away, and if nothing else, I hope this has given you a tool that you can play with to come back to time and time again for those days where you might need to work through something. So like in your case, Claire, something needs clearing, right? Exorcism. You don't need an exorcism because you're as powerful as any priest. So yeah, working with these sort of tools will allow you to do that yourself. Don't get me wrong, I love a good priest. That sounds really bad, but you know, there's some beautiful priests out there. But I don't believe we need gatekeepers to the spiritual realm. These are things that we are able to navigate ourselves. And you're a Reiki master. Bring the Reiki in as you're in that healing journey to help clear away some of those energetic blocks that's bringing this into your life right now. Perhaps there's a lesson in it, something that needs to be taken away. Okay, lovelies, I'm going to love you and leave you. The timetable is in the platform. The timetable is in the group. I am continuing to post every single day for 28 days in June, all around this topic of becoming spiritually supported, building that connection with spirit, building that connection with our spirit guides. And those lessons, when they're not live, are released in the platform and in here when I can. I did record a video for day 2. I can't remember what day was day 2. Sunday, but it wouldn't let me upload it to Facebook because it was too long. So that one is available to watch in the platform if you haven't seen it already, and that's all about centering, and I hope you find it useful. All right, lovelies, have a gorgeous day, take care of yourself, and I will see you soon.